Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first ever urban presentations. It's a takeoff our regional presentations from our other awards, Tidy Towns. I'm Emma White. I'm the event manager that has put this all together, and I'm sure you all know me through all my emails and phone calls. I'm going to take a quick minute to just introduce our team here at Keep Victoria Beautiful. We have Sabina Wills, our CEO. I'll have her give a little wave. Looks like she might be frozen. Then we have Sam Lawson, our project coordinator. And we are missing Gary and Anton, our volunteer managers. And my internet just went unstable. There we go. It should be better now. I'm on my phone data now. Perfect. So really quick how today will work. We will just call on every project name and not group names. Just be aware of that, just because some groups have put in multiple projects. So we want to make sure we talk about that specific project. You'll have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. When I do call on you, just unmute yourself in the bottom left corner of your screen and then talk about your project. When you start approaching that 2-minute mark, you'll see me just put a thumbs up in the corner of my screen. Just a little heads up that we're getting close on that time limit for you to start wrapping up. I won't cut you off or anything, but just be aware that thumbs up will come up just to ensure we stay on time, as well as we aren't going to allow screen shares today due to time restraints. We just want to make sure we stay on time. Perfect. And finally, we strongly encourage everyone to participate in the chat feature in the bottom to encourage, network, connect with other groups, share ideas, get ideas, even maybe chat after the presentations today. Perfect. Now I'm going to pass off to Sabina to give a little background on Keep Victoria Beautiful and our founder, Dame Phyllis Frost.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you for the introduction. And I'm really looking forward to today and to hear about everyone's projects. In practice, I was doing a little reading of our 50-year book that we did this year, so celebrating 50 years. So we're over 50 years old here at Keep Victoria Beautiful. And what really struck me as I was going through the book was all the strong people that have been involved in Keep Victoria Beautiful over the years, starting with our founder, Dame Phyllis Frost, who was an amazing woman who founded Keep Victoria Beautiful, and also did a lot of work in women's prison reform and also in a lot of other works, including Save the Children and other things like that. I see we had ABBA in here promoting Keep Victoria Beautiful, and a previous boss of mine, Pam Keating, who did a lot of work with Keep Victoria Beautiful, leading all the way to our current patron, the Governor of Victoria, the Honourable Linda Dessau, AC. So we've had lots of amazing people that have worked with Keep Victoria Beautiful. Currently, we run a number of programs besides the awards program, including Stationeers, which I always feel is one of our best kept secrets because unfortunately there's no signage about Stationeers, where we've got over 60 volunteer groups looking after train stations throughout both metro and regional Victoria. If you travel around regional Victoria, and soon everyone will be able to, might see the signs for the Adopt a Roadside groups. We've got 140 Adopt a Roadside groups, and you might see the whacking big signs saying that this section of road is looked after by an Adopt a Roadside group, and those groups make up look after 700 kilometres of Victorian roadways, and the volunteers are just amazing. We've also got Sam from our office who does hard work with the Litter Enforcement Officer Network, and that's looking after councils, enforcement officers and landowners, because it's a real area that needs coordination and improvement. So we're making a real impact with litter. We started off as an anti-litter organisation and we still work really strongly in the litter field. So thank you for the time to give that little brief overview of Keep Victoria Beautiful, but I'm really looking forward to hearing everyone's projects and being inspired. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sabina. So I'll just start calling off the names. If they aren't here, we'll just skip over. And at the end, I'll do one last round to make sure I got everyone who attended. So if you joined today because you couldn't make another day, don't worry, I will call on you eventually. So up first, we have reduce items sent to landfill by repairing them for free. No worries. Global Melbourne Multicultural Bay Ambassadors.
Hi, I'm Reiko from the Port Phillip Eco Centre, and Global Melbourne and the Multicultural Bay Ambassadors program is an internship program that we ran for emerging young professionals who are from culturally diverse backgrounds. So this year we had 4 young people joining us as ambassadors for the Bay from various backgrounds, Indian, Pakistan, China, and they worked with us. So they learned what we do in terms of bay care. They all have environmental science backgrounds, and they helped us design events that are more inclusive and approachable and representing culturally diverse communities. So we ran 4 events over early this year to engage with different groups along the bay. So we had a few events at St Kilda and one in Wyndham along the Werribee River. And it's a program that there's 2 sides to it. One is for the Eco Centre to learn from these communities to design our programs better to be more inclusive and equal and representing communities, but also to support young professionals to gain skills and to gain employment in the industries, so our sustainability industry can be more diverse and incorporate these values. So it's been very successful. We've had 3 rounds of interns so far, and we hope to run a similar program again next summer.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rico. Up next, we have Tiny House Community Garden. I think I see Elle down there at the bottom. No worries, we'll go ahead and go back.
Hello, hi.
Rico.
Can you hear me? Bear with me. I'm having a few internet issues today. Yeah, so Tiny House Community Garden Project. Sorry, I will turn on my video. There we go. Hi. So the Tiny House Community Garden Project is a project run by Tiny Nonprofit. Tiny Nonprofit is a project-focused advocacy group for tiny homes here in Australia to not only show that tiny homes are not only a viable form of housing, but can be of service to the community in many ways. We're demonstrating that in this project. We were donated the use of an 850 square metre block here in St Kilda. And with that block, we have placed the first legal tiny home in a city environment in all of Australia with pre-approval from Council for Long-Term Occupancy. The rest of the land we are developing into a community garden to bring in community connection, health and wellbeing to the community. On top of that, when we took on the land was a hot mess. It was atrocious. So we've spent a lot of time repurposing, recycling, reusing and upcycling all of the stuff that is in the space to help develop both sides of that project while engaging the community to do that. This project is a completely off-grid project running on solar, collecting own water, and has a composting, the composting toilet. And it's going a little bit slower than we'd like it to due to COVID, but it's still kicking along. So yeah, I think that's my minute. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Elle. And hopefully, are you in your tiny house right now? Yeah.
I am, and that's part of the reason I'm having internet issues. It kind of works like a Faraday cage.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Up next, we have Nature Spot Citizen Science Project. All right. Geelong Youth Environment Group.
Sorry, I might talk to that. I wasn't entirely sure. So I'm from City of Port Phillip, but the project was mostly delivered by Reiko again. Thank you, Reiko. So the City of Port Phillip developed the Nature Spot project with a Caring for Local Environment grant from DELP. And then we partnered with the Port Phillip Eco Centre and CrowdSpot, the online platform to engage with the community, increase community engagement with the local flora and fauna, and their understanding of what's in their back garden and their parks. Reiko, feel free to jump in at any time in this 2 minutes because you know it better than I do. So it involved developing an online platform where people could take photos and upload them with a description and a location of what they saw and where. It also involved a number of workshops, volunteers from the local community, where the Eco Centre took them out on different public spaces and taught them how to spot, how to take good photos, and what they're looking for, and then they went back to their backyard gardens and private spaces and continued to do the same. It was slightly derailed at the end by COVID, so the last 3 were cancelled due to COVID, but managed to turn that around and do some online tools and education, and we also developed a spotting biodiversity and making your backyard what you can do in your backyard to encourage biodiversity as well. So that's all available on the Eco Centre and the City of Port Phillip website. Do you have anything to add, Reiko?
Yeah, I think that sums up really well. Thanks,
Great.
Zoe. The other great thing about this was it was a citizen science project, so people contributing data for the City of Port Phillip to further develop their biodiversity plan. And we found 21 species that was never recorded in the Port Phillip region. So that was an awesome contribution too, to know that normal people like us, even without scientific knowledge, could take a photo of a spider and it turns out to be something that hadn't been recorded before. So yeah, that's great.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to the both of you. So I'll call on Geelong Youth Environment Group one more time to make sure. Perfect. Keeping litter out of Port Phillip Bay. All right. Delivering dignity with gifts and services.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Kathy and I'm from Impact, and the title of our project is Delivering Dignity with Gifts and Services. I'd like to acknowledge the Bunurong peoples of the Kulin Nation, where I'm currently sitting, and thanking them for allowing me to live, work and play on lands that they've never ceded. Thank you, Keep Victoria Beautiful. I think we've taken a different spin in that I think it's our volunteers that keep Victoria beautiful as well, and we need to acknowledge them. So Impact is a completely volunteer-led and driven charity. We make a difference to Victorian women and children fleeing extreme violence. While we're a charity, we actually don't give charity. What we do is give gifts and services with dignity, and we give dignity with gifts and services. We're best known for our bags of love, which are distributed every Mother's Day and Christmas to the women and children in hiding around Victoria. And at the moment, we know that that's more than 2,000 women on any given night, plus their children. We've also been giving interest-free loans and been doing a lot of things, but the major project that we started last year and is now extending, and we're extremely grateful, is we're offering free qualified childcare in court while the parent is facing family violence matters. And it's a very, very important service. COVID stumped us for a minute and then we pivoted, and we've actually touched, in a loving and kind way, more women this year than we have previously. This coming Christmas, we're going to have more than 500 volunteers helping us in very strict COVID safe ways, delivering more than 2,000 bags of love. I'm so proud of all of our volunteers who make a real impact on people's lives in a practical, grassroots level, and put themselves out. But I just want to stress that with our volunteers coming back, we're not just abiding by whatever COVID regulations the government specifies. We're doing that and more. We don't want to just be safe. We want to be seen to be safe, and we still make an impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Up next, we have Student Wellbeing Action Team. Introduction of multi-bin system to streamline waste and other initiatives. Yep. All right, Stoney Creek Recovery and Rehab.
Hi, that's me. My name's Claire and I'm a volunteer with Friends of Stoney Creek. We are a grassroots volunteer organisation working on our local creek, which runs from St Albans through Sunshine, West Footscray, Yarraville, and enters the Yarra River just under the Westgate Bridge. In 2018, there was an enormous industrial fire in an illegal stockpile of stored hazardous goods, which probably everyone remembers as a big plume of black smoke hovering over our city. And in the process of putting out that fire, an enormous amount of water flowed into Stoney Creek, which was adjacent to the site, and carried with it all of those toxic chemicals and combustion products into the creek and effectively destroyed all life downstream. It carried sediment that was contaminated with asbestos and PFAS, and the entire banks of the creek from that point down were coated in a black, sooty hydrocarbon substance. Friends of Stoney Creek had to step up and engage with local council, Maribyrnong City Council, the EPA, Melbourne Water and Parks Victoria, all of whom had a role to play in the cleanup and recovery related to the catastrophic event. We also engaged on social media with local residents and the community, some of whom were extremely traumatised. They lived very close to the creek and couldn't live in their homes for a number of days after the event. The creek smelled like paint thinners and still does occasionally when we have heavy rain. Friends of Stoney Creek did a presentation to the Parliamentary Inquiry into Waste and Waste Recycling. We were invited to present to communicate to the members of Victorian Parliament the impacts of the event and the mismanagement of waste storage. We were involved in a recovery project with the main stakeholders of Maribyrnong Council, EPA and Melbourne Water, to ensure that the steps that were being taken, the community was involved in the, it was an engagement process to ensure that the relevant bodies knew exactly where the areas of concern were, and we provided inputs to them in order to ensure the effective cleanup and fastest possible reuse of the creek and its environs for the community. That process has taken between 12 and 18 months, and we've now moved into what we call the rehabilitation phase. There was a workshop held between the council and other key stakeholders, including the community, where we talked about what we wanted from our creek and what we expected from our urban waterways and how we maintain their health, the biodiversity aspects and the values to the community. I think this event really brought together the community in understanding that what is seen as a drain by some people is a really important community asset for connectivity of the community and connection with our local environment in a highly urbanised area. And that rehabilitation plan has now been issued and has an effective duration of about 10 years. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Claire. Up next, we have Nourishing Community. All right. Platypus Project. Oh, did I hear something?
Wyndham Park, yeah. How are you? Yeah, my name is Greg from Wyndham Park Community Centre. So we started a project earlier in the year in partnership with Let's Feed and United Sikhs here in Wyndham. Now that project came out of the nucleus of a local philanthropist providing us with 80 meals to provide to a local school in need, to families in need. From that, when COVID hit, we actually went to we upsized that, we really upscaled it. So started working with those two key partner organisations to provide meals to families. That started with originally in our first few weeks of 400 meals per week. We were receiving meals from RACV, but also meals from the United Sikhs. That started with, as I said, 350 to 400 meals per week. We're now at 750 meals per week, 6 months later. Because of COVID. And what also happened during that time, in July, early July, late June, we were able to get access to donations from Food Bank Victoria. So we're now providing 150 grocery boxes we're providing grocery boxes to 150 families per week. And some of those families receive 3 and 4 grocery boxes. We work with one family in Tani. There's 17 people in the household. The 2 parents, they're 12 children, and they've got kinship care of 3 small children. So the program has grown dramatically through COVID-19, and we've been able to respond to the community's needs. We've seen a sharp increase when the JobKeeper rate dropped. We saw a dramatic increase in the numbers of families wanting to access our food program. What's come out of that food program is also some other great opportunities. We received funding of $20,000. We're now being able to actually put on and appoint a food support worker, a project officer for the next 6 months. We had a volunteer come in. Not a volunteer, but we provide a lot of the meals go to Wyndham Central College, Wyndham Park Primary School next door to us, 2 or 3 other community centres across Wyndham. But Wyndham Central College, one of the staff was coming up from there to pick up 100 meals a week from us to go to families in need there. And she told us she was a hairdresser. So something out of that program, we now have it'll start Saturday week. Every fortnight, we're going to have 2 hairdressers cutting mums and dads' hairs that come through that food support program. So the flyers are going out today. We're going to get appointments. Will be booked out pretty quickly. But just even that is that next step of just it's beyond food. It's about the whole person and sort of just even those haircuts will build those mums and dads and children's confidence. Also, what came out of our food program, we were featured on 4 Corners on ABC television, and we had a gentleman that lives in St Kilda saw some of the families in need that we work with were highlighted. He ran a GoFundMe page, and that's now resulted in donations of just under $5,000. And we're going to run a financial capability program out of it. And we'll actually be we had our first participant yesterday, and we'll not only pay $50 this month and then again next month off their electricity bill, but we're working with them in partnership with Good Shepherd to build up their financial capability, make sure they're on the right electricity plan, etc. So this one program 6 months ago has just gone like this, and there's offshoots already coming out of it. So it's been a great success. I live in the West. I live near Stoney Creek, only probably 150, 200 metres from there. And I did have headaches for 6 months after, Claire. But, in the West, I think we often do things on the smell of an oily rag. Sorry, excuse the pun, Claire. But we do things on very little money, and partnerships and collaboration are really important to that. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you so much, Greg. Up next, we have Platypus Project. Jonathan Law.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I keep getting that wrong, Sabina knows. I'm here on behalf of the Yarra Riverkeeper Association and Our Future Cities. And the project was trying to bring the best of, I guess, urban planning and both conservation and sustainability for the city of Melbourne and its urban ecology. This is mainly in alignment with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, especially so the 2021 to 2030 decade of ecological restoration. So this is both plants in the ground itself and also smart water sensitive design and urban greening as well. So this was facilitated under the core themes of litter cleanups, ecological restoration, advocacy for better environmental protection, education, and also facilitating citizen science. In addition, there was some think tank discussions on core urban planning design competitions with the SDGs as a key selection criteria. All of this work is trying to bolster and save out our sector, not only for corporate collaboration, but also trying to give the credit where it's due to the largest philanthropic funds like the Ian Potter Foundation, the Ross Trust, the Helen McPherson Smith Trust, and so on. Especially so that proportionally the environmental pillar usually gets some of the lowest proportional funding to the other key pillars. Not to say that the other pillars aren't worthy at all, but this is really bringing awareness of the importance of green space and the environment, especially so that we've taken for granted when people connect it in their 1 hour of exercise under stage 4 lockdown. Because of COVID, we've had this amazing collaboration because of video conferencing with colleagues in America, China, and India, and also very much we've gotten humble insights from Aboriginal communities all over the world. So not just for the Wurundjeri where I am, but also the Darug in Sydney Basin, the Sagong Tasi, the Cherokee people in the United States, and also the Dravidian people in South India. This is, I guess, trying to work towards the best of the environmental outcomes, both in an urban setting and both the natural environment. And so I very much welcome all collaboration and support. I'm very humbled to hear everyone's amazing work as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sen. Up next, we have Not the Arkies.
Yes, it's, hi, I'm Emma. I'm from Yarra Rangers Council. And so Not the Archies was a community portraiture project that was facilitated and funded by Yarra Rangers Council in 2019. So the project was a response to the Archibald Prize, Australia's oldest, most prestigious art award, which was exhibited by one of our partners, the Tarrawarra Museum of Art. And two of the townships that surround Tarrawarra Museum of Art, they can be really heavily impacted by tourism on a regular weekend, let alone the Archibald, which brought in over 50,000 people over the month. And so Not the Archies was really aimed at celebrating the local community and strengthening community spirit. And so the project, it invited and encouraged the local community to get creative, to pick up their paintbrush and celebrate the locals who live, work and play in the Yarra Ranges by painting their portrait. So the call out was, if you know someone great, know someone great, paint your mate. And a part of it was also including a short write-up on why their subject was important to them, which was a really important aspect to the street gallery, which was exhibited in shop fronts in the main streets of these two townships. So the main aim was to strengthen the sense of community belonging and to stimulate community creativity and participation. We ended up, it was quite a good success. We had over 230 portraits submitted from a really diverse range of ages and ethnicities, both genders fairly represented, and some really great stories that came from the portraits that were submitted from a lady in her 70s that hadn't actually picked up a paintbrush since the 70s, and she's since enrolled into the local TAFE to do an art class. We had another gentleman, one of the traders told us that he had come in and was quite touched that his portrait, he didn't realise someone had valued him enough to paint his portrait, and was really touched by being considered in that way. So we had over 90 traders in the main streets of the two townships hosting the street gallery. Local businesses sponsored the art prizes. Local arts organisations, living learning centres engaged local artists to host portrait workshops. And we even had the mayor sitting at for local school children, and they were very upset that he barracked for Richmond, but so there was a lot of accompanying events. So the street party launch and an awards night, which attracted about 600 community members, and people voting in the audience choice, and a public mural created. So it ended up spanning quite a wide range of businesses, community members, and partners with council. And so the project saw a strengthening of the sense of shared community belonging, and as I said, some really beautiful anecdotal stories from the community members. And it has meant that we saw some positive effects on mental health and general well-being, increased confidence in young people and seniors, the strengthening of connection with between community and local businesses and traders, and the success of the project strengthened advocacy for subsequent creative community initiatives, which we've done during COVID this year with a Put Out Your Poetry initiative, which was inviting the community to write haiku and express their experiences of COVID, and we printed stickers that they then stuck on their bins so that people could, another sort of street gallery. Anyway, I think that's enough of me rambling, but thank you. And I'm really humbled to be hearing everybody else's amazing work and amazing projects.
Okay, thank you so much, Emma. Up next, we have Kitchen Garden Project. All right, Running for Cleaner Trails. Richmond Churches Food Center.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Jo from the Richmond Churches Food Centre, and it's been wonderful to hear everyone's diverse projects. We've been involved in food relief in the city of Yarra for about 35 years, and traditionally give out between 300 and 350 food parcels every week to local residents in need of food support. Our project was around reducing our waste, the waste that we generate through the project. We basically, in our program, would use 5 or 6 plastic bags for every client because of the speed of how quickly we turned over our distribution. We needed to be very prepared. And then we had a step back last year and thought about different ways we could do it more sustainably, because we're all about food recovery, but we were actually also contributing plastic to the environment. So we regrouped and we reprogrammed what we did, and essentially we prepared all of our food in plastic buckets and bowls, which meant that we could be very organised before all our clients lined up to receive their food. And through a process of just a few weeks, we educated all of our clients around bringing in their own reusable bags. There was a great take up. We had all of our requests translated into all the different languages of the people who lined up for our food, and we also received some great donations of some bags which we could give our clients so that they had the right resource to come back to us. We replaced the morning tea paper cups for all of our team volunteers with keep cups, and we also introduced a worm farm concept with the school students who supported our program, part of their social justice. So we were able to reuse all of the food waste into the worm farm. So the project was a real change for the way we did it, but it was very sustainable, and we feel as if there's more we can do, but it was a great start to reducing our impact with the food service that we offer. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jo. Up next, we have Waste Revolution. Alma Park Stormwater Harvesting Scheme. No. Boonwurrung.
I'm here, sorry. Yeah, hi, I just had a problem unmuting there. I'm Sam from the City of Port Phillip, and I'm here to talk about the Alma Park Stormwater Harvesting Project. I think, I guess, you know, we learnt a lot during the Millennium Drought about the impact of, you know, drought on our urban parks and things like that. And this project is really a response to how, over the long term, we deal with the issues of drought and how we look after our parks. And so Council has a whole lot of targets at the City of Port Phillip around how we reduce water consumption and how we find alternatives. One of the best ways is through stormwater harvesting, and the Alma Park project is a big stormwater harvesting project which essentially takes water from the local city catchment instead of taking it from the external forested catchments that are around Melbourne and are so precious. So the project itself harvests a catchment which is close to 30 hectares in size, around above Alma Park, around Dandenong Road, and takes that water and treats it through a rain garden system, so a natural treatment system, and then puts it into great big tanks which sit under Alma Park. And I guess what that means is that you know, we have a local sustainable source of water. It means that we can prioritise you know, making sure that we keep those parks really healthy and that we don't slip into those scenarios that we had, you know, during the Millennium Drought and more recently, where, you know, you have parks turning into dust bowls when it gets dry and hot in summer. So we're able to irrigate that park with up to 20 million litres of water a year, which is really quite a large volume, and it's all sourced from the local catchment. There's lots of benefits in relation to protecting downstream water quality, urban heat island, and reducing the heat impacts on the local area and things like that. So a big infrastructure project, a bit different from some of the other projects that are so inspiring that we're hearing about today, but nevertheless one that's pretty special, and I've been really pleased to be a part of. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sam. Up next, we have the Boonwurrung Land and Sea Council in the city of Port Phillip. All right. A sustainable neighborhood. Transforming surplus food into nutritious meals. All right. Yarra Catchment Atlas.
Yep. Hi. I guess that's me as well to talk to that. So the Yarra Catchment Atlas was a citizen science project that was stimulated out from and collated from a bunch of other community groups along the Upper and Yarra groups. And we felt that as the Yarra Riverkeeper Association, it was sort of our role to sort of bring everyone together, a central sort of database so everyone could collect and record all of the plants and animals they kind of see, not just in their professional work, but even just so casually. And we ran some very successful bio-blitzes and citizen science short-minute projects, especially during the stage 4 lockdown, in a few hotspots. So Abbotsford, Burnley Crofters, Dights Falls, Westerfolds Park, and Victoria Harbour and Docklands, as well as Crays Landing and Stonington. And it's really great to see people commenting on each other's photographs and saying, like, oh, I totally didn't think that, you know, wombats were in, you know, my backyard, or I had no idea water dragons were so close to my house as well. And it's been a really sort of rewarding experience to see that everyone sort of reconnected with nature during COVID, and sort of really found the wonders in their backyard, or what's just in their doorstep, especially when the 5-kilometre radius was a thing. People really sort of brought that sense of local stewardship and sense of local care as well. So it was really rewarding to see. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Jonathan. Up next, we have polystyrene pollution in the Yarra River, which I assume will be you again.
I'm sorry. Keeping it brief, this was a polystyrene research project in which the litter was in both the Maribyrnong and the Yarra rivers. A lot of the litter in its weighted form is microplastics and polystyrene. So effectively small soups that people can't even see to the naked eye, but if you feel it, you can definitely feel the grains. This is largely caused by industry, but also the increased use in microplastics and just general products that people can't even see. So face wash, exfoliating hair wash, a lot of anti-dandruff shampoo as well has microplastics that kind of try to exfoliate the scalp to get the dandruff out. And so our polystyrene project was to locate the point sources and the industries along the Maribyrnong and the Yarra rivers, and identify where these microplastics and polystyrene was circulating alongside in the rivers, and especially in the reed beds where they get trapped and cause a lot of damage to the native wildlife and vegetation as well due to leaching. So that was stage one. Stage two is going ahead by my colleagues who couldn't be here today, but it's a very exciting time due to new funding from the Port Phillip Bay Fund and DELP of support. And it's a project together with Clean Water Group and the Eco Centre to analyse microplastics going forward and how we can better reduce the polystyrene in our urban waterways. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jonathan. Up next, we have Kitchen Garden Program. All right, well, that was the last one on my list. Was there anyone else here that attended today that I didn't call on, or I ran over the names too quickly?
I'm from Glenara, and there is the Love Our Street 3162 group, or I'm not sure if I have joined the wrong meeting or...
Nope, you're all good. Go ahead and tell us all about your project.
Great. So I'm Adrienne from Glenara City Council, and Love Our Street 3162 is a community group. They've been operating for a couple of years, and once a month they meet up for 1 hour to pick up litter that would otherwise end up in Port Phillip Bay. And the lady, Sophie, who initiated it, she just had her second baby, and she would take her baby out for walks and just hate seeing all the litter on the streets. And so she said, instead of just scrolling Facebook all day, or not all day because mums are so busy, she was really inspired just to go out and start picking up litter and to form a community group. So she joined forces with 2 other residents, and 2 years on, Love Our Street 3162 has removed over 1 tonne of litter from streets around Caulfield South. And they've also inspired other Love Our Street groups to form in Glenara, and they mentor other residents in forming their own local groups. And they're not just about picking up litter, they also do lots of waste education, messaging and campaigns. They've got a really active Facebook page, a really active Instagram page, and they've presented at some of our workshops to inspire the rest of the community about what they do. So, and since we've been in lockdown, they've been promoting solo pickups so that this good work doesn't have to stop with us being in lockdown, and safe ways to still go out in the community and remove litter.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Adriana. Is there anyone else that I missed? Perfect. Rico, have you go ahead?
Hi, yes. We had another project called Living Motto Work Bees, which took place in the Stoney Creek catchment and the Werribee River catchment. It's a project to get people to volunteer to clean up for waterways, but then harness that volunteer hours and convert that into rebates for rainwater tanks and rain gardens that could be installed at schools and homes. So Love Our Street 3162 was one of our partners. So we had partners all around the catchment from Beach Patrol and Love Our Streets. So whoever that volunteered there could raise credits to donate to schools who wanted to install big rain tanks and rain gardens. The schools received up to $20,000 to do a massive infrastructure projects. We worked with 7 schools and got probably about 2.3 million litres of stormwater diversion capacity throughout those installments. So for example, Love Our Street 3162 raised money for their local primary school, Caulfield Primary School. They had a few tanks, but what we found out with schools was that oftentimes the pumps were broken and they never got fixed, or the tanks weren't really connected to toilets and being utilized within the buildings. They were just for garden irrigations. So we wanted to maximize the use of the tanks. A lot of our schools who connected their tanks to toilets became probably about 80% water sufficient in terms of their internal water use. And then a lot of schools also installed rain gardens to filter out pollutants before they go out into their local creeks. So yes, really great projects, just harnessing people power who's already doing great work around the catchment, but also installing infrastructure that would go on for at least 10 years, I think, and keep continuing the great, I guess, filtering out pollutants and harnessing stormwater to be used on schools. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Rico. And is there anyone else that I might have missed or read through too quickly just before we wrap up? Perfect. Well, thank you so much to everyone for attending today. I'm going to quickly pass off to Sabina, and then we'll have everyone unmute themselves and give a big round of applause at the end.
Thank you so much, Emma, and thank you for organising this. This is always the highlight of my year when I get to hear about all the projects in the awards, because everyone has entered the awards and you've all been judged, and so the judges have heard all about your projects, but this is a great opportunity that I love to hear about everyone's project, because it really inspires me, and I just love hearing all the great things that are happening. So now, and this is something that we've bought from our Tidy Towns Awards, and I think Jonathan was talking about this opportunity that we have to connect in different ways and hear about different stories. And yes, I've really enjoyed it today. The next part of the process will be the awards online event, so that will be on the 12th of November. But look, everyone has done a fantastic job, and I just love hearing about all the projects. Continue to do great jobs and keep Victoria beautiful. So Emma, do we all unmute ourselves so it's on the bottom left? Unmute. And a big round of applause for everyone. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and we look forward to virtually not seeing you at the awards night on November 12th.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
These are all recorded and will be on the web as well.